Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Profitable Recruiter Spotlight webinar. For this month, we are super excited, as always, to have Judy LaDeur on the line. Hi, Judy.
Hi, Julie.
And we are very happy to have Keith Pike join us as well. Hi, Keith.
Hey.
Keith owns RE/MAX Elite in Little Rock, Conway and Bryant, Arkansas, and RE/MAX Infinity in Overland Park, Kansas. And Judy's going to get into some of his awards and accomplishments. We're very happy to have everybody on the line. If you do have some questions, I do want to remind everybody that there's a Q&A panel on your control panel. And if you just type your questions in, we'll try to get to as many of those as possible. So welcome, Judy. Welcome, Keith. And I will let you guys take it away.
Thank you so much, Julie. And wow, thank you, Keith, for being our guest today on our Profitable Recruiter webinar. I can't imagine anyone that would be a better fit than you based on all these accomplishments and the awards that you've received recently.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So I want to first off start off just by congratulating you on your accomplishments in the field of recruiting for the past 2 years. You were the RE/MAX Recruiter of the Year for Arkansas for 2015 and 16, plus the Arkansas Broker of the Year for 2016, and more recently, this year you were just awarded the most net gain of agents in 2016 from RE/MAX for the entire United States. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's just amazing. Yeah, but when I read that, as I was reading that, of course I know you, Keith, and we've worked together, but that just really says a lot about who you are as a broker, as well as who you are as a person. So great job.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's start with your award for highest net gain of agents in the U.S. So what that tells me is that you're a great recruiter, but more importantly, you are great at retention. And, you know, we have a lot of brokers sometimes that'll say, well, last year I recruited 50 agents, but I lost 47, so I have a net gain of 3. And that's so common, you know, and it's frustrating as a broker to, you know, like bring 50 in and lose 50, and you're like, you've worked the whole year, you're right where you started. So, you know, what would you say, Keith, with regard to what it takes, you know, with retention, you know, what it takes to keep them happy, keep them productive, and just keep them, you know, are there some secrets that you can share with our audience?
Okay, well, there's a few things that I do to keep agents. First, something that I learned going to the 3-day one-on-one with Judy LaDeur back in August of last year was that I knew this, but it just, the way you said it made it sink in with me, that once you get agents into your brokerage, there's going to be other brokerages that start courting them and that are dating them to try to get them to come to their brokerage. And so I couldn't ignore my agents, so I had to, I date the agents that I'm trying to recruit, and then I also date the agents that are in my office. I take them out to lunch. I send them text messages asking them how things are going. I travel a lot when I go out of town. I periodically buy little gifts when I see them in the airport or different things that I know that agent would like. And when I come back, I have an agent that just loves ice cream. And I bought, when I was in New York in January, I bought like a little ice cream scoop, and it said, "I love ice cream" on it. And I brought that back. It cost me like $3 or $4. You would have thought I brought her back a diamond.
Wow.
It's just little things like that. But I also keep I have my staff and keep their ears to the ground about things that agents may be struggling with or dissatisfied with or disgruntled about, and I can nip those in the bud.
Yeah.
You know, the first instinct, I think, that a lot of brokers, when they hear that one of their agents is upset or disgruntled, is, you know, that ungrateful brat, like, don't they know what I'm trying to do for them, and can't they just be happy? And that's, and I admit, like when I'm working hard and trying to make agents happy, and then I hear that somebody's unhappy, like, just for 2 seconds, like, that is the first instinct that I have, and I think that a lot of brokers can relate to that. But I know that they're coming from a sincere place, and that there's something like genuinely wrong that they want fixed, and so then I try to fix it. And then sometimes I can't. Sometimes people are just unhappy, but if I can fix it, then why don't I fix it?
Right.
And so and I periodically, like for instance today, I've called about 5 or 6 of my agents so far today just to chit chat with them about how things are going, congratulating them on their production, particularly agents that I haven't seen in the past few days, just so that I'm maintaining interaction with them. It helps them feel like they are important to me and that they're valued, and that I haven't moved on to the next shiny object, which is another recruit in another company.
Right. That's fantastic, Keith. It just really follows that philosophy of what it takes to get them is what it takes to keep them.
Yep.
So you're right. Once they're in the door, it's not as though you throw them on the pile and go after others. And I think that's what happens sometimes with brokers. It's easy to keep focused on the recruiting part of it without realizing that it's so much easier to keep an agent that you already have than to
So much
recruit.
easier. They don't want to leave. I mean, I've figured out that they try to find reasons to stay.
Right.
And I found this out by recruiting other agents. Sometimes it's harder to get them to leave the company even when they're unhappy, their other company, because they're trying to find reasons to stay, and they're trying to give that broker a chance.
Right.
They take several months, and then that broker never clicks with that broker to fix the situation. And a lot of times it's very small things.
Right.
Very rarely they're switching to me because they're trying to save money or something like that. They're wanting something that they feel is broken to be fixed. And I take also all the complaints basically that recruits are giving me about their old company, and I know to avoid those within my own company.
Right.
Because sometimes I'll be like, I was a divorce attorney in a previous life, and people would come into me and they would be telling me all the things that their spouse was doing. That's why they were divorcing them. And then I would immediately go home and like apologize to my wife for all the things that I was doing that I was doing. And so when I told
wow, wait, I better apologize for that, right?
Right. When I talk to these recruits and they, complain about these horrible conditions in their office, like I think like, oh my gosh, are we doing that in our office? And then I go fix it real quick so that, my same agent isn't sitting in front of another broker complaining about the same exact thing.
How funny. I did not know that you were a divorce attorney in your previous life, Keith, but that probably is a great background to have as a broker.
Yeah, right.
Good for your own marriage counseling too. Well, it's funny. USA Today had an article on the front page, and it kind of ties into what you were just saying about like some of it just little stuff, or even like getting that little ice cream scooper for $3, and they do what they think is a diamond. And the headline on the front page of the USA Today said, "Stupid little stuff means the most." And the whole article was based on the fact that most employees brokers or most employees that were surveyed all said that what they wanted was just to be recognized, to feel appreciated, and just little stuff that you could give them a little note, a little ice cream scoop or anything like that. It would make a huge difference. And also, Keith, I just want to kind of mention real quickly to our brokers that are listening is having an extra set of ears with regard to your admin people is a fantastic idea, because your admin people are going to respond one of two ways when agents complain. They're either going to jump on the bandwagon and sympathize with them and tell them, oh, like, I know how it is, and you poor thing, which makes the situation worse, or they're going to be in your corner, and they're going to say, hey, you know what, you should talk to Keith about that, or does Keith know about that? And, bring it to Keith's attention. He'll really want to know that. So you always want to make sure that you've got the admin people, on your side, and that they're an extra set of ears to let you know things that are going on, because they are the first line of defense, and they sometimes hear it first.
Well, the admin, I've made it very clear to the admin, I care. And typically an agent is not going to be complaining to the admin or saying something to the admin that they don't secretly want me to know about. Like they want it fixed, right? And so, I tell the admin to not put gasoline on that fire, right? Like to tell them, like, listen, like, we're going to help get this resolved, or we're going to help get this fixed. And so they know to use kid gloves with agents as opposed to, you know, shut up, you ungrateful brat, and, you know, be thankful for what you have. Because there are some admin that do that, and we just can't, you know, we just can't have that in our offices.
Yeah, we do have to treat it with kid gloves sometimes. So obviously, Keith, you've had some amazing results in the area of recruiting, not just for the past year, but for the past 2 years in a row. So would you mind just sharing, what are the top 3 things that any broker should be doing on a regular basis if they want to have those same kind of results?
The top 3 things that I think that I probably do is I'm very good at building a relationship with recruits, the people that I'm recruiting, so that I'm not just some sort of stranger. They at least know me in some way. I have a broad list of people that are on that get emails from me on a regular basis, once or twice a month, and then I have a much smaller list of top priority agents that I'm working on. Those people I friend on Facebook, and I pick up, if they're reading a book, I might pick up that book and read it as well, so that when I do get in front of them and sit down with them, I can talk to them about it. Like, we have some sort of connections. So I pick up, I mean, I'm interested, I'm not just faking it, like, I'm legitimately interested in things that other people are interested in. And so it does take some effort. It does take research on the types of things that these people are interested in, and it's pretty fascinating. I feel that when I'm sitting down with a recruit finally, I feel like I know them better. Some of them, you know, are interested in politics, and some of them are interested in horses, and so I will do some research and get into it so that I have that connection with them, and I can feel like I can get to know them better. Also, I mean, the third big thing that recruiters don't do that probably should, that's probably the secret to my success, is I actually reach out and contact these people and ask them to meet with me.
Wow, look at that.
Right? I'll talk to brokers and recruiters, and they're like, how are you doing this? And, well, I'm reaching out to them and asking them to meet with me. How often do you do that? And they're like, well, I really don't. Well, you know, like, now you know why you're not getting anybody in your office.
That could be the first step that they need to take, right? We'll make that number 1 and number 3, right?
Yeah, but, you know, I think that people don't do it because of some sort of fear. They're scared that, you know, they're scared of being rejected, or they're scared that they don't know what to say, or they don't know what their value proposition is. And I felt that it was very helpful when I went through your one-on-one in Chicago, that you know, you forced us prior to even showing up to sit down and work out our value proposition. Right. And all agents want to know that. They want to know what you have to offer them. And brokers, a lot of them don't have it in their head what it is, so they can't articulate it, and therefore they're scared to meet with agents or even pick up the phone and ask them to meet with them because they don't know what they're going to say, and they're afraid of that rejection as a result.
You know, just kind of jumping to that, because Keith, you were one of, like, I just really remember that you had a big aha moment at our 3-day workshop. You mentioned to me, now again, your results were incredible coming into our workshop. You had already been the Broker of the Year for 2015, on track to be Broker of the Year for 2016, which you made. So you were already great when you arrived, but I remember that you said to me your big aha moment within a week of leaving there was that you had always met with an agent at least 2 times because you didn't think that you could just meet with them once and ask them to join.
Exactly.
But I think you hired like 5 agents your first week after leaving or something, and that was your big aha moment, right?
Yeah, I was, I mean, I was good at the gradual close, and I found that agents just, they want to take off the table the thought process of it, and they don't want to make the decision. And so if I kind of nudge them in that way, they assume that they're going to make the decision. So a big thing that I do now is that when I sit down with an agent, I make them put on their calendar the day that they're going to transfer. And it's that small action that they take when they're sitting with me. I can see after we choose a date and they circle it in their calendar or put it in their phone, like they do this flip. A switch flips in their brain, and their attitude becomes completely different. All of a sudden, it comes from the dread and the hesitation of, oh my gosh, I've got to switch and all these things that I've got to do, to oh, I'm switching on April 26th, and we're gonna, I'm gonna order my signs, and I'm gonna order business cards, and I'm gonna tell all my friends, and it becomes something exciting for them after they do that. And so before, I would be like, okay, you think about it, and you let me know when is a good time for you to transfer, and then we'd talk again, and then we would talk again, and I would eventually get them, but it was, I kept kicking the ball down the road. And I found there's a much faster way to do it when you bring them to your office, ask them to join, and then use objection handling and stall handling to get them to join now, as opposed to when the quote time is right, because it's never right,
Right. And now I forgot about that part too, because I think you used to always first meet them away from the office, thinking they would not come into the office, and that was a big change you made after the event too, bringing them straight to the office versus feeling like you had the coffee. Is that correct?
It is, and I still have some people that don't want to come to the office because they're afraid somebody's going to find out. And in my head, before I came to that 3-day workshop, I always thought when I was meeting those people at the restaurants or at Starbucks that was the recruiting appointment. But you said something to me or to the group that resonated with me about no, that is the meeting where you're building a relationship with them. And then you bring them to the office to close them. And when I thought back on it at that point, very rarely had I met an agent at a restaurant or at Starbucks where they were actually signing the transfer form there.
Right.
It typically always circled back around to the office. There have been a few other circumstances where people have signed transfer forms outside of the office, but when they started being willing to show up to the office, they were serious about transferring, right? Before, they didn't want anybody to know because they weren't really serious about transferring.
Right.
They were afraid somebody would find out, and what if they don't transfer? Then there's going to be awkward around the office.
Right.
So now I just know when I meet with somebody outside of the office that I'm building a relationship with them to try to get them to the office.
Right.
And before, I wasn't even trying to get them to the office on the first date, right? I would offer to go to a restaurant or to Starbucks. Now my offer is to come into the office. Sometimes they hesitate and don't want to do it, but more often than not, they're willing to come to the office.
Right. And you're right, Keith. If you think, instead of, a lot of brokers think, well, coffee's so much easier, lunch is so much easier, breakfast so much easier. Well, sure, it's easier, but it's not going to really get you the same result. So if you use breakfast, coffee, or lunch as your default, meaning go for the office close first. If they say yes, awesome, you have a much better chance of getting them to make a commitment. If they don't, then you can always divert to, then how about we just have a cup of coffee to build that relationship and start to get to know them a little bit more and build their trust. So I'm glad that a lot of times, Keith, that's what happens when someone comes to that event. I mean, as you saw when you were there, we have brokers and recruiters from every level of just open their office and no one's sitting in their office to highly successful brokers like you. But everyone takes away something different, and it's all based on it.
I came to that so that I could pick up something to better my game, right? Like you said, I was already doing well. I'd already gotten an award for being the top recruiter in Arkansas the previous year, but everyone can always improve. I can improve from where I am now, and I think that going to that event helped me correct, just tweak a little bit of what I was doing, maybe not incorrectly, but not the best way.
Right. Well, good. I appreciate that. We actually do have another event scheduled for May 23rd through 25th. And so if any of our listeners are looking to fine-tune their skills, let us know. We'll get you the information out on that event. It's here in the Chicago area again. You mentioned one of the last things you said before, number 3 is you actually reach out to the agents. I know a lot of brokers and recruiters are always saying, what do you say when you call them? And so let me ask you, Keith, I mean, what do you say when you call them? Is there any magical words, or is it more just the reaching out that makes the difference?
So I use a little bit of flattery when I talk to agents to get them to agree to meet with me. I don't say much. I'm not trying to do the sales pitch over the phone. My goal is to try to get them to meet with me. And so I will tell them that a mutual friend of ours, occasionally I will mention the name of whoever told me it, talked about how great they were, that they were a rock star, and that they were somebody that I needed to get to know. And I'm hoping that they will agree to meet with me to sit down for a chat. I use the word chat because it sounds less threatening than meeting, meeting or talk or interview. They know what I'm trying to do, right?
Right.
And I get a very high rate of people agreeing to meet with me using that. And
Good.
the reason I even throw in a little bit of flattery is that it was used on me. I used to, for 2 years, a little over a decade ago, I was a Keller Williams agent, and I was happy at the company I was with. I was doing well there as an agent, and they called me and told me that they had been following me and saw me in the newspaper a lot, and being top rookie and different things, and that they wanted to get to know me. And coming from somebody that was happy where I was, I mean, I still have a really good relationship with the owners of that company. I wasn't even looking to leave, but they got just the things that they said to me got me to agree to that appointment, and just to explore it and get to know it. And at the time, Keller Williams was unheard of in Arkansas. They didn't even exist here.
Right. Yeah. So just
so I kind of do the same thing. Agents, I think, like to be appreciated with a little bit of flattery, because most of the time their broker's not doing it. Their broker's not telling them how great they are and how well they're doing and how impressive their business is, because their broker's busy doing something else.
Fantastic. How about, Keith, obviously it's been a journey that has brought you to an area of a lot of success, but there's always hurdles and challenges along the way. And so as you look back over your journey, were there some hurdles or some challenges that you encountered that maybe other brokers and recruiters are encountering that you had to kind of work your way through? And if so, are there any secrets to working through those challenges and hurdles?
I think that the big hurdle that I had to overcome, that I think that a lot of brokers still struggle with, is they're afraid that, I think they're afraid of that rejection. They're afraid that they're bothering these agents by even picking up the phone and talking to them.
Right.
They feel kind of sales pitchy, like they're, like they're selling some sort of multi-level marketing,
Right.
scheme. And I had to come to terms with this is different. Like this is a profession, and I'm offering them a better opportunity, providing them things that they need in their business to help grow their business. I'm not trying to convince them to change their career. For the most part, I only recruit experienced agents. I'm trying to get these agents to my company and help them grow their business. That's something that's highly beneficial to them. And
right.
Something that a lot of agents want and are interested in. And so I had to change that in my mind, what I was doing, what my job was. I think a lot of brokers still struggle with that.
I think you're correct in that, and it is, like I said, if you just work through that and get to understand that you're just introducing a different opportunity to them, and it's not personal, because that's where a lot of brokers are just like, they take it so personal when agents are saying, well, no, I don't want to meet with you. It's like, why? What's wrong with me?
Another big challenge I had, and I grew along the way, is I'd meet with an agent, and they'd be asking me services that their office had, and asked me if I had those services, and I didn't. Like, do you have a transaction coordinator? I don't. Well, I use a transaction coordinator all the time at my office. I don't think I could live without it. Well, I went and found a transaction coordinator and started recruiting to that transaction coordinator, and then I did it when I got to the level that I could, right? It wasn't immediate, but when I would go and recruit an agent before I got that transaction coordinator, I'd let that agent know, we're in the process of looking for a transaction coordinator. I'm hoping to have one in the next few months. It helped me recruit to that person even before I had that person.
Right.
it helped me get up to the level that I could get a transaction coordinator.
Right.
And you know, there's concern like overhead and like the cost of it, and being a small brokerage, I couldn't afford it at the time, and so I go to a lot of meetings and conferences, and I participate in a lot of webinars and things where I could brainstorm with other brokers. How are you paying your transaction coordinator? What are some creative ways that that the broker is not going to have a lot of risk in that? And so I structured it in that way. And
Yeah.
you know, and different staffing for, let's say it's marketing or certain admin support staff for agents. I would kind of get the ideas to do those things from agents that had those services at other offices. I would figure out how I could make that happen in our office, and then I would recruit to those services.
That's excellent. You know, on that note, are you finding that there are certain systems or tools that are more valuable to agents today in this marketplace than others?
I find that there's two big things that we offer that agents just are very interested in. One is some sort of automated marketing platform where they can easily generate flyers and postcards and different things to market property. Agents are busy. They're not particularly tech savvy. They still need to do tech savvy things and advertise on Facebook and on social media. They don't have a lot of time to figure it out or know how to do it. They're very interested in processes that can help them with that. The other thing that they're interested in is leads in some sort of way that you can provide them leads or help them get leads.
Right.
Those are two of the big things that we do. That I cover with agents. Just for a disclaimer, the leads, I don't subscribe to any expensive lead program where I'm feeding my agents a bunch of leads. We do have a small lead program that is offered to us through RE/MAX. But agents are more interested in, like, can you plug them into tools that are going to help them get leads? What can you do to show them where to get leads from?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not like you have to, and I think that's a great point that I just want to emphasize. You don't have to provide everything as the broker, but you should be a great resource for the agents, meaning if they know where to find the leads and which programs are working best, or how to maybe bring an assistant on board and what that assistant can do for you. So as the broker, you're kind of like overseeing the process and overseeing their career for them. Like how to find things and how to work through their own challenges.
Oh, and I need to say something because along those lines of spending money, when I get asked a lot when I go to these events from other brokers, like, what are you doing? What am I doing to get agents? Because they want to know. And then they always have some sort of excuse of why it's not working for them. I get that, oh, well, you know, my brokerage is small and we can't afford to pay $5,000 a month for a commission, a lead program like Commissions Inc. or some of the other ones, we have a small office and we don't have private office space, or our office is off the beaten path and it's not on a main thoroughfare, or our colors are outdated. Then I'm forced to use those colors because they're with my franchise. Or they always have something, right? And I always have to come back with them. My office is off the beaten path. I have tiny offices. My main office is 2,400 square feet, and I run a whole lot of agents through it. It started out at 1,700 square feet with no private offices. I didn't even get private offices until I had enough agents that I could take over the space next door and build something out. The rent is $2,400 a month. Like, so I'm not renting $20,000 a month worth of buildings to have these agents in. Agents don't necessarily need the nicest. They don't need the biggest. They need services, and they need to know that you care.
Right.
And I want other brokers to know that you can do this on a budget. doing it on a budget, and I've had a lot of success doing it on a budget.
So attitude becomes a really important component to success. Like, like looking at something, and instead of looking at all the reasons why it won't work or it can't be done, to instead look at how can I do it.
Absolutely.
I love that. How about objections? Right now we're hearing from a lot of brokers that the agents are too busy to make a move. They keep rescheduling, they keep canceling, they've got a lot of objections, such as I got too many listings or too many pendings. What do you hear in the way of objections, and how are you handling the I'm too busy right now?
So, I mean, the I'm too busy right now, I show them that, they typically have their calendar of when they have closings coming up, and I tell them, okay, look, a month from now, you've got 9 closings this month. A month from now, you're gonna have 9 closings that next month, and there's never going to be a good time to do it. There's always going to be a holiday that's coming up, and there's always going to be closings that are coming up. There's always going to be listings coming up, or you just got listings. You got to set the date. We can plan it around it as best as possible. I'm going to take as much off your plate as possible during this transfer, but it'll be like ripping off a Band-Aid. It'll hurt for a very short period of time, a few days, and then it's smooth sailing. And that if you're thinking about leaving, you've already got a foot out the door, and
right.
That probably means that your business is on a downhill decline. Because in your
right.
mind, you're not happy where you're at, and you're thinking, I'm going to make a change, so I'm not going to send out any postcards, and I'm not going to make a bunch of social media posts, or I'm not going to do the things that generate business 3 and 4 months from now. So what you're
right.
going to find is the longer that you stay there, that your business is going to be on a steady downhill decline. You need to jump ship so that you can rev that engine back up, so that in 3 or 4 months from now, you're not in a complete dry spell.
Right.
And I had an agent that transferred over to me last year. She came over to me crying. Her previous broker pulled her into the office, yelled at her because she wasn't producing anything. She had nothing under contract. She had no listings. She had historically been a pretty good producer, and she admitted to him that the reason that she hadn't is because she had been unhappy, and the thought of doing work she avoided it because she was in a kind of a depression. And so she came over crying that he had just yelled at her, and she had to get out of that bad situation. I just talked to her today. She's closed $6 million so far this year, and this is just April. She
Wow.
got it out of a bad situation that was in her head. She just hated that company she was with, so she wasn't doing the things that she needed to do to generate business.
Right.
She got out of that and got into an atmosphere and an environment that she likes and that she's happy about. Well, she did all the things to ramp up her business, and now, she's one of my top agents for the year. I mean, $6 million in a very short period of time.
So attitude is like, whether you're an agent or a broker, you have to feel good about where you're at,
Absolutely.
what you're doing, and maintain a really positive attitude.
And so if you were thinking that I'm going to wait until it's the right time, then you're going to suffer from a lull in business, because you've already made the decision you're leaving, and you're trying to make it the right time by not taking on new business. And that's just not the way that you switch the company, because your pocketbook's going to suffer.
What a great success story for you to be able to share with any agent who's looking to delay that move or is worried about the right timing. Geez, I would use that success story with all your recruits.
Yeah, I do. I do for sure.
Yeah. Keith, any last tips or ideas that you'd just like to share with our listeners today that would help them recruit the agents that they're looking to recruit?
I mean, build a database.
Build a database. Yeah, great job. What do you use to make the database, and how many are in it right now?
I have 742 in my database. That's not every agent in my market. There's more agents in my market than that. Those are agents that have closed the number of sales that in a given year that I need them to close, production that I need them to close. Great. And subtracted out the agents that I feel that are crazy or would be bad for our for our office. And I didn't have a database for a long time, and so I don't have a single database system that I have those agents in. I have them in a couple of different databases that do different things for me. Remax has a free database for Remax agents. It's called Lead Street. That is my main database for all my recruits, and it's how I'm able to keep in touch with them and send stuff out. I also have a database in a system called Easy Emerge, which allows me to distribute different things to those agents and target them with emails and social media posts. I also use something called Outbound Engine, which is it does something very similar but in a different way.
Right. Awesome. Thank you. That's a great tip, because there are a lot of brokers out there that still do not have their agents set up in a database, working off of papers and lots of information. It's just really hard to stay on top of your recruiting when it's not in a database.
That was me for a long time, and although I had success doing it, when I actually took the time to upload into a database where my contact with these people could be systematic and more consistent, it took my recruiting to a whole new level. I think I recruited 17 people in 2015 and 50 in 2016.
Right.
So
that's awesome. Well, before I ask Julie if we have any questions from our audience, I just want to first off thank you, Keith. I know you and your partner David over in Kansas are both members of the Profitable Recruiter program. We really appreciate your support. And for all of our members that are listening today, something that I did share with Keith earlier is that we've got 2 new services coming out. A lot of you have said to us that you don't want to, or that you're challenged having a customized template to drop those emails into each Monday, and you also wish someone could just send them out for you. So those are 2 new projects that Julie and I are working on. We're going to get that information to you within the month, and make that easier for all of our members who are listening to get their emails out and have it look nice and professional from you. So thank you again for being a member. And Julie, any questions from our audience?
But it's pretty quiet today. I can't send out a message to everybody. But I think you were so thorough. And Keith, I just love what you're doing. I love the humor and honesty that you're doing it with. It's just phenomenal. And I'm sure that's the reason why you are so successful as both a recruiter, but also as, you're maintaining that retaining your agents. I think it's terrific. And I'm still laughing
I appreciate that.
The divorce thing.
the big thing that I get a lot of feedback from on when I recruit agents is now that we've had so much success in our marketplace, I'm kind of well known, mostly because the brokers are bringing it up to their agents, trying to badmouth me in some sort of way. And then when I meet with those recruits and they tell me, oh my gosh, I can feel that you're real, and that you're down to earth, and that you're not pompous and you're not arrogant. I think that we've got to remove those parts of us and be real with agents. They appreciate that and they can connect with it. I'm not sales pitchy at all. I show them that I care about them. I care about their business. I'm serious about my business, and that I really want to grow this company, and I want it to be a good thing for everyone. They connect with it and they like it, and that message in itself gets those recruits are going back and telling other people in their office,
sure,
everything that our broker told us about him is completely false. Like, it's just not how he is. It's not who he is. And then those people are agree to meet with me as well, or they'll reach out to me and say, I met with Stacy, and she was saying all these great things about you, or I met with Jennifer and she was saying all these great things about you. I'd really like to meet with you. My recruits are sometimes my best recruiters.
Right.
Right.
Their office, the word. So I mean, I think it's important for brokers to be real with agents, to joke with them, laugh, make fun of themselves, and just so that those agents want a relationship. They want to connect with their broker.
Right.
For the brokers who are struggling or have not yet put their database together, and I know we're all in agreement that is number one. You need to do it. Step one. Where should they start?
Okay, so in the very beginning, it was a very manual process for me. I was going to the MLS. I was running reports on who was selling a certain amount and had a certain amount of transactions, and I was getting their names and phone numbers, email addresses, and the company they were currently with for competitive intelligence purposes, and putting them into an Excel spreadsheet. Took a very long time, which is the reason that I think a lot of people don't do it, is they intend to do it and they just don't have time to do it. It's a very cumbersome process. But I finally bit the bullet. It was the best thing I ever did, and invested in paying for a software called Broker Metrics. There's other software out there that does similar things, where very easy to run those kinds of reports, pull into spreadsheets the agents that you're targeting, and then upload that right into whatever software that you're going to use to distribute to those agents. And
right.
that was the best thing I ever did. That sped up that whole process. I wanted to hit myself for not doing it sooner, to be honest.
And you can delegate that too. You could certainly just have someone do all that inputting and all that information for you if you just say, I just don't have time for it. But it's better to delegate it and get it done than to just not do it.
Absolutely. The first list that I started with, I actually posted it on we have a group forum on Facebook for our office. I posted, do any of you know anybody that'd be willing to help me build a spreadsheet of potential recruits, and I'll pay $10 an hour for it, thinking that maybe one of them knew somebody that was looking for work. And one of my agents actually was like, I would love to do it.
Right.
And,
That's awesome.
and so she helped me do it. And I mean, I ended up paying $100 or $150 for it, and it was a pretty good list.
Right.
But what I realized was that the list of those recruits is changing. People get in and out of the business, or they move companies. I needed to keep up with where that recruit currently was, because it's going to change the types of things that I talk to them about, or the things that I feel that may be important to them as the difference between my company and the company they're with. Also, right. If I had to run that list a year ago, there's going to be people on it, or people not on it that are now on it that are superstars, that they became superstars within the past year. For instance, I went and got an agent that I recruited from Keller Williams who had never closed a single transaction, but he had a couple listings at Keller Williams, and he was doing some amazing marketing. And I thought, this guy's got it. And he came over. I got him to transfer over, and he was over with me for a good period of time before he had his first closing. But I think since December he's closed 7 or 8 million.
Awesome.
And so he obviously wouldn't have shown up on my initial list because his production wasn't at that right level. But
right.
He would show up now.
Right. Awesome. Well, for all of you here today, Keith, you've just given, like everything you just shared is exactly what every broker needs to be doing in order to be successful at recruiting. And we so appreciate that. If you would like to connect with Keith, or you have referrals coming Keith's way, or you just like to connect with him afterwards and say, thanks so much for the awesome information, you've got Keith's contact information right up there on the board, keithpike@remax.net. And thanks again, Keith. You were
Absolutely.
just awesome, and it's easy to see why you are so successful. And
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank all of you for joining us today for this awesome webinar with Keith Pike, and we look forward to having each of you join us next month when another one of our brokers shares their tips for success. Thanks, Keith. Bye-bye. Thank you,
Bye.
Julie.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.